Hi everyone, welcome to the Dee-Brief with Dr. D. Real talk, real strategy, real leadership, one insight at a time. I'm your host, Dr. D, and this is your space for bold conversations, soul-deep reflections, and truth that transforms. Whether you're an executive, an entrepreneur, or an everyday change agent, this podcast is for you, navigating both public success and that private struggle. Each episode, we take a deep dive into emotional wellness, grief recovery, faith, leadership, and the tools you need to rise with clarity and with purpose. This isn't just strategy, it's healing. It's a calling. This is the Dee-Brief with Dr. D. Let's get into it. Dr. D here. Welcome to July. This podcast is about being halfway there, but just getting started. I am so excited to talk to you about being 6 months in to the year. It's July 1st. We have already completed 6 months of the year. Can you believe that? And, some people may look at this as, oh my God, 6 months has gone by. But I want to talk about having 6 months ahead of us. 6 months to keep going. So this podcast is going to be about reflection, release, and a radical recommitment to what we need to do for the next 6 months. So, July 1, 2025, we are looking ahead. And we're also looking back at what we've accomplished over these past 6 months. What was our goal? What did we set out to do? What did we allow to hold us back? And how we can move forward to make sure that doesn't happen again. So this is not just a checkpoint, right? I want this to be a mirror for both of us, for all of us, because I did this too. But I had to take a moment and think about, honestly, how far have I come? How far have I come over these past 6 months, and where am I being called next? Because these past 6 months have been a shock for me as well. So I had to give myself the gift of honest reflection. It doesn't work unless you give yourself honest reflection. So let's start by acknowledging some truths. I posted a short this morning while I was walking my dog Willow about life putting us on detours and not being able to walk in the way that we planned. Because oftentimes life doesn't unfold the way we want it to, right? Things happen. Let's just put it like that. But with growth, grace, and greatness, and you hear Willow in the background walking around, we can go past the detours. We can keep moving. That plan that we set out for God, and we show God the plan, and He laughs at us and said, here is the plan because our steps are ordered. We can go past the detours. Thank you, Willow, for sitting down. So think to December 31st. You're at church or wherever you were for New Year's Eve. What were your thoughts? What were your hopes? What were your fears? What did we want to do for 2025? Maybe you start the year with full clarity and you knew exactly what was going to happen. Or maybe, like some of us, you enter the year just wanting to survive. That was me. After going through all that I went through and my near-death experience from October to December of 2024, I just wanted to survive. I was grateful to be alive. But yet, 6 months into the year, we are still here. We're still standing. We're still pouring. We're still making it happen. So for that, I want us to just stop. You know how we do. Take a breath. And say, thank you, God, for getting me through these first 6 months. And think about what changed me over these 6 months. What did I allow into my spirit? What were my successes? So I did that. And I want to tell you about my half year highlights. Some personal wins for the first half of 2025 that I did not expect. So I want you to do the same thing. So, one, I hosted my first pre-Mother's Day brunch in honor of my mother. Oh my God, that was amazing and such a proud moment. But not only did I get to honor mommy, I was able to recognize some phenomenal women, some phenomenal sheroes, which was a blessing. I turned 55. That's a milestone. I celebrated my birthday. My book, Father, Mother, Sister, My Grief But God, Moving Forward Without Pieces of My Heart, was on the Amazon bestseller list. I established and expanded Joy in the Journey, my series for youth and schools. And with that, I wanted to become a New York City public school vendor. And I accomplished that. So you're going to see soon Joy in the Journey books in the school system. I'm going to release that shortly. And just last week, as many of you know, we celebrated my husband's retirement of almost 30 years of service. That was amazing. Really, really great celebration. I'm so happy for him. In my teaching life, I'm still teaching at Metropolitan College of New York and BMCC, two schools that I graduated from that I want to give back to the community. So my partnership with local community organizations and individuals and my business and my clientele, it's still growing and it's still prospering. The podcast community is thriving. We're getting so many followers. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and so many listeners. And I feel like the podcast is really sewing into people's lives. So we established the Joy in the Journey community group on Facebook where we can engage more and more people. This is my ministry work. This is my community work. And I'm grateful for my ministry at Evangel Temple where I'm able to serve as Reverend Dr. Darlene Williams. Personally, I continued my lock journey. Thank God for my loctician. I'm so happy for the people who have helped me on this journey and also keeping my health in track. Again, after what happened last year, I wasn't going to let Satan take me out of here. So I'm staying on my health journey. But beyond the bullets that I just named of successes, and most of those were not planned, I grew, I grieved, I cried, I let go of things that were holding me back so I could rise again. But these accomplishments, as I know yours, were only possible with grace, with grit, and with God's guidance. They didn't happen overnight. They were built on years of quiet faithfulness, of healing, of brokenness, of just being able to rise again. And you have the same story. This is not unique to me. You have the same story. Look at what you've accomplished over the past 6 months. And look at what you want to accomplish over the next 6 months. But to do that, there's some things we have to do. We have to release what no longer belongs to us. I want us to look at July as a clean slate. A clean slate. But remember, we can't fill the next season of our lives if we're still clinging to the last things that broke us, to the things that don't belong, to the things that are barriers to our success, to our prosperity. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. And I did this too. What are you carrying that no longer serves you? What are you carrying, like physically, emotionally, spiritually carrying that no longer serves you? What has become a habit but no longer holds meaning? You just do it out of habit, like driving someplace and not needing your GPS. It doesn't hold meaning anymore, but it's still a habit. And where have you been loyal in roles or in rhythms that God is saying you need to release that? You've been loyal, but it's time for you to release it. So this season, I released perfection. Thanks to my coach, I've released the need to have things in a certain way. I lay down the herbs to make sure that everything is perfect. So for example, this video, you wouldn't have gotten this video until I did it 20 or 30 times. Edited it, changed it, retook it a million times, not going live on social media. But I was able to release that. So this is raw. You're getting raw Dr. D. And I embrace peace in that. And I was only able to do that because I decided to reimagine, refocus, and recommit. So what does that mean? Because I want you to take these nuggets and think about it for your next 6 months. So let's talk about the strategy. And it's a heart first strategy. It's not overthinking, which I tend to do, but it's a heart first strategy. So I'm going to give you some of the steps that I've used to realign my year, and I'm going to continue to do it for the next 6 months. So 1, reimagine. Ask yourself, if I could fully trust God with my next level, Willow, with my next level, what would I dare to dream? What would I dare to dream? Stretch your faith. You're asking if you could fully give yourself permission to want deeply, to want more boldly, and to trust God. What would you dare to dream? We're talking about the creator of the universe. Not trusting yourself, trusting God. What would you dare to dream? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is around refocusing. So clear the noise. Clear the distractions. Reassess what deserves your energy. Right? Because not everything that's urgent is important. Not everything that's urgent is important. So refocus on what is aligned, not just what's available. What's aligned with your purpose, not just what's available. Because Satan puts things in your way too. And then 3rd, recommit. Who are you committed to becoming? Who am I committed to becoming in Dr. D? Not just in public, but who are you committed to becoming in private? What new boundaries or new declarations will shape you in this next season? Think about that. And I don't want you to just write these down. We're going to write them down because we're going to write down the vision and make it plain, right? But we want to speak them. Speak them into existence. Pray over them. Partner with them. These are your goals. These are things that you are meditating on. And then I want you to reflect and reset. Reflect and reset. So what do I mean by that? So there are 3 reflection questions that I'm going to ask you to journal and meditate on. Yes, I'm giving you homework on this July 1st. Here are the 3 questions. What are you most proud of from the last 6 months? What are you most proud of? I gave you my list. I think from that list, I'm most proud of my mother's pre-Mother's Day brunch. So what are you most proud of? What do you still need to grieve or celebrate or release? There are things that maybe happened that you didn't celebrate. There are things that maybe you didn't release. There are things that maybe you didn't grieve. So think about that. And then finally, I would say, who do you need to become to live out what you've been called to carry? Not what you've been carrying, not those things that maybe you should have released, but who you're called to carry. What do you need to release to do that? So take your time, and I have to go because Willow wants to go outside. Answer these questions because they're going to shape your strategy. And I think the last thing I will say is remember that you're not behind. You're still becoming. This is your reminder that even though these first 6 months are gone, we still have 6 months ahead of us. So you're not behind. It's not too late. There's still time. You are still becoming. You can still make those goals for 2025. There's still grace. God is still here. There's still room for miracles. There's still room for God to carry you through. The same God that got you here in these first 6 months is the same God that will carry you for the next 6 months. Trust the process as you move forward. Keep becoming. Honor your pace. Honor your steps. And don't worry about what happened before. Let July be your launch, not your excuse, your launch to start again. I encourage you to join our community, join Joy in the Journey, our community group. You're going to be hearing much more about that when I launch the book series coming soon. And this summer, you're going to see a lot of guests on the podcast. People that I've just met that's reached out to me that want to share their story and their message of hope. We're recording now. You're going to see some very interesting people who are just like you and me. And they're going to inspire you. So tune in every week to the Dee-Brief with Dr. D. Stay connected with us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and join our community. This is Dr. D, July 1, 6 months. We're still here, and we have a ways to go. Talk to you later. Well, thank you for joining me today on the Dee-Brief with Dr. D. If this episode spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs a word of hope and clarity. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with our social media community. And remember, healing is not weakness, it's wisdom. You don't have to lead on empty. You don't have to rise alone. You were built to lead, to heal, and to thrive from the inside out. Until next time, lead well, heal deep, and walk boldly. This is Dr. D signing off.